So we've now finished the dynamic test. So what is the next procedure for the function test?
Yeah, so the function test has two parts, parts A and B.
Yep.
The first part is this is where we bring out the roof structure for the first part, the actual structure that the anchor will be installed in the field. So the anchor is installed on that, and we perform the exact same dynamic test as we did in the previous procedure. So it's a drop test directly onto that anchor.
Yep.
And the only requirement is that the anchor holds the load there. So that's very similar to how we currently test 5532. The bit that is different now is once that dynamic test has been completed, you need to perform a static test after that. And that static test is to the load that we recorded.
The peak load of the
dynamic test on the rigid structure.
Okay. So we then take the peak load and we apply the static test to the anchor on the roof structure.
The roof structure.
Okay. So is it a new roof structure or existing roof structure?
The roof structure you perform the dynamic test on. Okay. So you perform the dynamic test, you remove the test masses, and you apply a static load up to that peak test.
Okay.
Peak load of the previous test.
Does much change for the function test for a two-person anchor on that one?
So two-person anchor, yes, it does for both the dynamic test and the function test. We no longer drop one heavier weight.
Yeah.
We're dropping two smaller weights, one after the other. So if we take the example of a full free fall arrest two-person anchor,
yes,
the dynamic test procedure will be a 100 kilo mass dropped through 2 meters, and then a second 100 kilo mass dropped through 2 meters while the first mass is still remaining on the end.
Okay. So more of a real life scenario than previously, because previously it was just a heavier mass being dropped.
Yeah, it was just a heavier mass being dropped. This modification has been made. Yes, it's more realistic to have one followed by a second impact, making sure that the roof structure can take both impacts. But because we have reduced the static test based on a dynamic load, we need to make sure that if there was one fall followed by another fall, we actually record the highest peak of both those instances to apply the static test. I.e., if you have an energy absorbing anchor and the first fall takes out all that energy absorption, and then the next fall records an impact of 15 kilonewtons, your static test has to be 15 kilonewtons. You can't take the lower of those two loads.
Because it's already the full 15 kilonewtons. So you've loaded it twice, and now you're doing the static test at the grade of symbolic. Makes sense. Now that we've covered off the dynamic and the static testing for the anchor, moving into the instruction side of things. So section 6 of 5532 is a couple of key things that we need to have in here. What are they?
So the instruction statements just make sure that you tick off the types of things, like the structure that you actually tested on is correctly portrayed in your instruction manual, and the anchor rating. Some simple things that these were in the standard before, but just worthwhile noting.
Markings,
there has been an addition here. So the 2013 version of 5532 didn't actually require you mark 5532 on your anchors at all. So this version does require you to have that. It requires a batch or serial number, so one or the other, the manufacturer's name, and then just the rating of the product that is for free fall arrest for one user, for two users, or the kilonewton rated load.
Okay. So yet again, obviously a manufacturer standard. Generally, from memory, they look at a 2-year grace period. Is that what they're looking at this time?
There is no specific grace period of when you need to conform with this or have anchors conforming to this. They're not, standards in Australia are not mandatory documents, although operating within 1891 Part 4 is called out in various states' legislation. So, although the anchor standard is not, and said you must use anchors at 5532, 1891 Part 4 is mentioned in a number of different state legislation, and it requires you use 5532 anchors. So there is a a vague requirement there that it is adhered to.
I feel it's been a long time coming. I think from my time in the industry and your time as well, and seeing the change, and obviously 5532 2013 that was implemented, there was a lot of concerns around the structure itself and how the testing was conducted. I guess that the biggest thing is providing clarity around that, and being very clear that it's a manufacturing standard, and 8091.4 for 2025 is going to be that selection, maintenance and use. As we said, it does refer, I do like 8091.4, how it refers to a lot of product specifications or manufacturers to check with, because of all the testing that as a manufacturer does to 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 and 0.5, and now 5532 sort of starts to close that loop in regards to what 0.4 is actually designed for. It was never designed to be a test requirement. There's no test methodology that sits in 8091.4. The test methodologies sit in either in 5532 or 0.1 or so on. So I do like that. I think it's a real positive, and I do look forward to both these standards being released to help provide some clarity moving forward. So, Oscar, thank you for your time. It's been great. We look forward to. So, thank you. Moving forward from there.